Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Remember, subscribe is the vibe. Your boys on the road to 4K. Humbly.
It's not 4K.
It's actually not 4K. It's 5K. Bear with me. Humbly. The like button is liked. The subscribe button is earned. Damian Lillard has finally requested a trade from the Trailblazers. Honestly, I know what you're all thinking.
It's about damn time.
Where was this energy 5 years ago, right? Like, we've been wanting Damian Lillard to leave the Portland Trailblazers. Portland Trailblazer fans have been fiending for Damian Lillard to leave. Like, they haven't serviced him well. They didn't surround him with enough talent, especially in the West when he's competing against the Warriors. And I'm talking about Warriors pre-KD, after KD, they still weren't seeing him. They were the 7th seed for a couple, the 8th seed a little bit here and there, and then they just fell off the map. And Damian Lillard, last 2 years, hasn't even finished the season. So this guy's getting older. His talent is just as prolific as it was when he came in. This guy's a walking bucket, but yet the Trailblazers ain't going nowhere. So everybody that want to come at Damian Lillard for finally requesting a trade after what, 11 years in an organization and giving basically his youth. The most expensive thing that Damian lost was time playing for the Trailblazers, because he can't get that shit back, and they just wasted it for the past decade. So anybody that's hating on Dame for wanting to leave the Portland Trailblazers or saying, oh, he's not standing 10 toes because now he's demanding a trade, but I thought it was all about being loyal to the soil. Shut up. It's a business, bro. Like, nobody cares how you feel. We want to see Dame win, and I'm rooting for Miami. So we got Damian Lillard requested a trade from the Portland Trailblazers. Let's see what we chatting about, man.
All right, we got breaking news out of the NBA here on this Saturday. Damian Lillard has requested a trade out of Portland. That's coming from multiple reports. Dame has spent his entire 11-year career with the Trailblazers and is the franchise's all-time leading scorer. Miami Heat and Brooklyn Nets are expected to be the front-runners for the 7-time All-Star.
Damn, right? The Lakers ain't in this.
His time in Rip City, as you saw just there, time running out. Most points per game by a player 32 years or older. Dame time tops that list with guys like Curry, Jordan, James, and Wilkins. It'll be interesting.
Yo, I ain't gonna front, bro, and tell me if this ain't like the craziest, for my real basketball fans, right? Isn't it crazy just how big of a shadow Steph Curry has created for himself? Where a dude who's just as prolific, if not a better long-distance shooter than Steph. Like, Steph is viewed as the greatest shooter of all time. And, you know, you're gonna be hard-pressed to find anybody willing to argue that. But Dame ain't too far off from Steph. But it goes to show you just location matters. Who you get drafted by matters. The fact that Steph landed on Golden State and Dame landed in Portland is crazy, considering the fact that you can make the argument, man, Dame is on Steph's level. And because of the accolades and the three-point distance shooting, Steph has created a crazy gap between the two. But we're talking about a dude that has 4 rings compared to a dude who's his 1B with nothing. With nothing. And Damian Lillard is just as good of a shooter and a scorer as Steph Curry. It's crazy.
Interesting to see which team he goes
Look at the companies he's with. MJ, Steph Curry, LeBron James. What are we talking about? At 32.
All right, let's bring in our Brad Botkin to talk about this breaking news. So you see the news, Damian Lillard, look, it's been floated out there for quite some time, Brad, but now that he has requested a trade, what's your reaction to the news?
It's not a surprise to me. When they drafted Scoot Henderson and Joe Cronin came out with the pretty explicit language that he was not going to trade Scoot Henderson, that he felt he was too good to be traded, a position that I agree with. At that point, to me, this became inevitable.
Bruce Brown went to the Pacers?
On the move. You just can't pair 2 small guards like that in the same backcourt. It's too redundant. It didn't work with McCollum and Lillard. They also have Anthony Simons. It just wasn't going to work. And what I
because y'all couldn't build around him.
And we might be getting
Portland trash as hell. And let's be honest. When's the last time you heard someone say, I want to go on vacation to Portland? I'm just keeping it a bean. Like, it's not Miami. It's not Los Angeles. I mean, New York expensive, but it's not the Big Apple. You know what I mean? Like, y'all couldn't get him a decent number 2 to play his entire career there. What, Dwight Howard? Dwight Howard, who's on the back end of his career, and his best co-partner was McCollum?
Here. But when the wind starts blowing this way, Bradley Beal in Washington, Damian Lillard in Portland, these teams need to be willing to get ahead of superstar requests when you can see it happening. Because once it gets to this point, and now we're seeing Damian Lillard come out and say he wants it to be Miami, leverage goes out the window. Teams know you have to get a deal done, and it becomes difficult.
Dame said he want to go to Miami? Damn.
something you could see coming for a few years now, but certainly last year, and waiting for the official superstar request really puts you in a tough spot to get the best deal possible.
You're not going to get the best deal.
All right, so there's a lot of follow-ups.
And this is why I rock with the way the game is today, bro. Owners and GMs don't have the same power they once used to. You couldn't demand a trade back in the day. If you signed a contract back in the day, you had to obligate all 3, all 4, all 5 years, and you were at the mercy of the ownership. But now with everybody being vocal, you know, you can make the argument that LeBron opened that door too when he went public with wanting to leave Cleveland for Miami, and then everybody follows because the most consistent thing in life is change, right? So, of course, there's going to be a ripple effect that's going to affect other players. Other players are going to see what this guy's doing. Like, yo, you know what? I don't have to be miserable here. You know what I mean? I don't have to be rich and miserable. I want to be rich and happy because that can coexist, too. When you have an athlete who's been on the franchise for over 10 years and they've sucked, they've been the definition. I'm talking about the definition of trash, just overlooked. A fart in the wind, not relevant. Nobody fears the Trailblazers. And they have an all-time prolific scorer in Damian Lillard, and nobody feared y'all. That was a problem. That's a big problem, bro. So when Damian Lillard says he wants to go to Miami, Blazers is like, damn. I mean, we can't even listen to other offers because he already said he don't want to go, and nobody's going to give us what we're looking for. What's proper compensation? You know what I mean? But it is what it is.
But to your point, let me just follow up on what you just said. Then in
my son,
your
don't
opinion, why is it hard for teams to not go a year or two early as opposed to being in a position where they don't have as much leverage?
For the obvious reason that nobody ever wants to cut ties with their best player. It is not easy to replace a Damian Lillard.
Not easy.
And
it's
certainly
not
I don't
possible.
think the Blazers were in the same spot as the Wizards with Bradley Beal. They should have done Beal years ago. But the idea is still the same. It's difficult to get rid of a player who's still one of the top 10 players in the NBA. On any given night can carry you against any team. You
dropped 70 last year.
Success with. You have to commend these teams from an entertainment standpoint and an overall health of the league, that they don't immediately go to tank jobs and get rid of their best players, and they want to remain competitive even if they're outside the top tier of the championship window.
They couldn't show any highlights?
Listen,
I mean, damn.
They have to look ahead and be honest with themselves because, again, when it gets to this point, you can bet, we're here in Miami, it's the team now Lillard wants to go to, you can bet that Miami is going to lowball them. I don't think these teams have any obligation to trade these players to the teams that they want to go to. Damian Lillard signed a long-term deal. I think he's got 4 years left on his deal. When he signed that, the Blazers should be making the best deal possible. And that might not be a great deal out there right now. I don't know the situation, but they should not be just completely accommodating these superstar wishes. They almost have to do it in a players' league and player empowerment and all that. But again, I think these teams have to start learning from this. It's only a matter of time before these stars ask out as soon as it starts going south at all. And so I think you need to get ahead of it.
Speaking of wish lists, it's reported out there that Damian Lillard would like to go to the Eastern Conference, a short list that does include Philly, does include Brooklyn, but really Miami, to your point, seems to be, at least
Miami was the AFC that ran through that. Like,
and the favorite. Any of those three teams stand out to you? Obviously, you covered the Heat out down here in South Florida. What do you think about the best possible Dame fit?
It's a terrific fit in Miami if they can get it done. I mean, we just talked about it from the Portland perspective of how they can get the best deal possible for them. But for Damian Lillard, if he can get to the Heat without giving up Bam Adebayo, without giving up Jimmy Butler, that's a championship team, obviously.
Pat Riley will show you his hand and still play the cards. Pat Riley ain't getting rid of Jimmy or Bam. It's just not happening. Like, he's going to give you the scrums. You know, a little Tyler Hero, a little Duncan Robinson, and you want a couple of picks, you can have them. You know what I mean? But as far as valuable assets, you're getting robbed for Damian Lillard. At the end of the day, there's no fair trade for a superstar. You've never seen a team get rid of a superstar and gotten a superstar back. It just doesn't work like that in the NBA, bro. You know what I mean? You're essentially exchanging $1 for a quarter back in return, and you'll be lucky if that quarter's real. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, the Trailblazers know they're going to lose this deal regardless because you're losing one of a kind. He's one of one. Pat Riley ain't going to give you what you think he's worth, bro. It's leverage.
They were just in the finals without Damian Lillard, with Gabe Vincent starting at point guard. You have to wonder if behind the scenes, I think it's fairly safe to say that Miami, felt the winds blowing this way. They let Gabe Vincent go. They let Max Strus go. Those are two guys that they value, two guys that helped them, two starters that got them to the finals. And you have to wonder if they kind of knew this was about to come down. They didn't put up too much of a fight for those two guys. Philly would make sense if you get rid of James Harden. but you have to figure out the packaging. Perhaps Philadelphia can go get enough for Harden in terms of returning assets to then reflip those out to the Blazers. The Nets have long been a team because of his relationship, Damian Lillard that is, with Mikal Bridges, nice up-and-coming team. They have a ton of tradable picks from the Harden deal, from the Durant deal. They've got a lot of draft capital that they could give up. But I think Miami's the team, if we're talking about who takes the biggest leap immediately with Damian Lillard on the roster, if they can get that deal done for an expiring Kyle Lowry, perhaps a Tyler Hero, and a couple picks, I think they
Kyle Lowry
that would become.
You want to talk about a dinosaur egg
in the Eastern Conference?
And that was going to be my last question before I let you go. So if that all came to fruition and Dame did go to South Florida, South Beach out there in Key Biscayne, and so then you would favor them over Milwaukee, you favor them over Boston, at least on paper?
I would. Yeah, I mean, Damian Lillard is a top tier player. He had the best year of his career, you could argue, last year. So he's still at that peak level. To me, they would be the best team in the Eastern Conference. They have the best coach. They have the best point guard. They've got Jimmy Butler, who's one of the best playoff players in the league, if not the best on any
That's all Dame's
night.
been looking for.
Yeah, they would be the best team to me. I mean, listen, with Milwaukee.
That's all Dame's been looking for his whole career. Someone that could just play in the playoffs. Because it seems like whenever he makes it to the playoffs, he just got to carry. He just got to carry, bro. He ain't got nobody.
Chris Middleton back. We still don't know if Brook Lopez is coming back. And we don't know about what's going to happen with the Sixers. I do like the Porzingis deal with Boston. It would be really a fun race.
Number
But
one.
yeah, I would give the edge to Miami. Just a little bit to circle back to the Portland situation. Yesterday, they gave a 5-year, $160 million deal to Jeremy Grant. I wrote that Damian Lillard got him paid. They were effectively trying to make Lillard stay. I think with that deal, that's a big deal to give to a third option player for 5 years. If they're now on the hook for it, a $32 million average annual salary for a team that could be potentially going into a rebuild, that's a Tobias Harris-like anchor. And I have to wonder if the Blazers kind of did that, because we have to have everybody back in order to have any chance of keeping Dame. And then the very next day, trade request. Bro. I wrote that was the risk in signing that deal, and I didn't know it was going to happen this quick, but whoa.
Check out that write-up on CBSSports.com from our guy, Brad Bakken. Brad, certainly appreciate it, my man. Thank you.
And the crazy thing is, bro, like, running a franchise can't be as hard as these GMs make it seem, bro. To offer the third option on a losing team $250 million. Jeremy Grant is worth $250 million over 5 years. You shitting me? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what bad organizations do. They make bad decisions. And because of loyal fans, you know what I mean? They get to brush it off. But if fans stop showing up to these lame-ass games to watch these lame-ass Trailblazers, I'm pretty sure they will feel the effects of their poor decisions. That's why Dame is out. You offer 200... Bro, come on. Grant, 200 mil? But nonetheless, I'm happy. About damn time. I was getting old, bro. I didn't think Dame would ever do it. It took him 7 years too long. I would have been out during that first contract. I mean, I would have been on the first thing smoking. Like, what? I ain't carrying y'all. Like, McCollum. McCollum is the best y'all gave me. Vujic. Yeah, I'm straight. But appreciate you guys for tuning in. I'm going to holler at you guys in the next video. Damian Lillard has requested a trade. He's finally leaving the Portland Trail Blazers. Can't wait to see where you go. Miami. My bow.